you feel like that the end is near, and for whatever reason that hit me like this is real now. This isn't, something way off in the future that could possibly happen sometime, but something that could happen soon, and I didn't know how soon. One of the things I wanted to do is, there's a lot of great grandchildren that will, on our side anyway, that will never see you again. I don't think.
Oh, no question about that.
And so I thought I'd ask you on tape here if you wanted to, tell their teenage or adult selves something about yourself, or what is your legacy, or what do you feel is, what are the values that you carry through your life that you would want them to know about?
Well, something very profound, like don't ever work a job that you don't like. If you don't like the job, quit it and get prepared for a job that you will like. I guess I learned that working in the iron mines, where the guys came to work and they hated their lunch bucket, they hated their foreman, they hated everything about their job, but they were afraid to leave because of their seniority. There's no job in the world that's worth that. You only go through life once, and if you can't do something that you want to do, then don't do it. And for the most part, I think I've stuck to that for myself. I enjoyed the restaurant business. I enjoyed the solar business. I enjoyed the probation and parole business. There's a couple jobs that I probably shouldn't have enjoyed, but I didn't realize it at the time. And but they were just short-term jobs. And, fortunately, got out of them pretty much unscarred.
For the record, all that heavy breathing was Bailey, not.
What?
For the record, all that heavy breathing was Bailey, not Great Grandpa. I remember when I was working the Pete's Palace, you would always say that you work hard, you do a good job, whether or not you recognize at that place, somebody's going to recognize you.
That's true, also, yes. And always work harder than what you think you're getting paid for. And that's where, like you say, even if your employer doesn't recognize it, somebody will, a competitor, somebody will recognize there's a real worker. And real workers are valued in every type of business I know of.
How about, like Carr, if she didn't ever make it back here and you had something to say to her, what would you say to her?
Well, I would say to her, what I would say to the grandkids too, is that I love all of them immensely, and one of the things that has been very much of a burden the last few days is to realize that I will not see many of my extended family again. Just doesn't work out that way, and they're scattered up and down the East Coast, and they're all miles away from here, and who knows, when the time's up. But to go back to that, I don't think the time is up in the next couple of weeks, before Italy or after Italy.
Mm-hmm.
But I sort of pinned down the pulmonary doctor because they don't want to say too much, and so I finally asked him, where am I at, and what's the prognosis, and should I be writing my will, and he pretty much said that I could live anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half, or to 2 years. But if it were 2 years, probably the last half of it would be in a nursing home, because portable oxygen just doesn't go high enough. You have to have the stationary in-wall oxygen, and so if I do last that long, it's not going to be the type of existence I would have preferred, but we don't get to make those choices.
How do you feel about all that?
Well, there's, you know, you get all kinds of mixed feelings. It's deserved. I was dumb enough to smoke for 45 years, and you pay the price. But that doesn't make it any better as far as not being able to see family members, or not being able. I was planning to sing at Larry's wedding as the soloist, but I guess I'll never get that chance. There's things that you say, well, why didn't I accomplish that earlier, or when I was younger, or when I was more able? But that doesn't really change the fact that you would like to have done that, or to do that. Part of my goal, I don't know if you call it a goal, but maybe call it an old man's bucket list, was to get the GMC motorhome going, and to make one more loop around the country, and stop and see Derek, and stop and see Andrew, stop and see Derek, Jessica, work your way across the north and see the Minnesota folks, out to the west coast and see Boots's family in Wyoming and Washington, Oregon, and just to sort of make a last hurrah type lap. But that isn't going to work out, because again, I can't haul enough oxygen for that type of a thing. So we have to rely on the cell phone, the smartphone, if I ever learn to operate it.
Well, don't forget to take a breath if you need to.
What?
Don't forget to take a nice breath if you need to. Don't get yourself winded chatting with me. But, so did you have a solo picked out for Larry yet? You could sing it now.
I went to your wedding, although I was dreading the thought of seeing you. You tripped down the aisle, fell flat on your smile. Your father was loaded too. He dragged your bouquet the rest of the way, and then he went back and dragged you. That's the song I was planning to
Okay.
sing, but never get that chance.
Any other words of wisdom for her wedding day?
Don't. There's no guy good enough. There's no guy good enough for you, so just don't do it.
Okay.
Don't let those schmucks think they're good enough. Bailey, lie down. This is Hollywood at work.
Now Larry's wedding day has your singing and his dog's heavy breathing.
I would be more than happy to help all the visitors, but by the same token, I don't feel like that they have a responsibility to, because we can talk on the phone and save a lot of money.
What kind of loose ends do you have to tie up, do you think?
Well, we're tying up some loose ends at the lake, finally. been a couple of years of dangling. There's a lot of things right here on the Alpine property that need doing, and I'm sort of running out of steam as far as getting them done, but maybe little by little, if we ever get some rain and I can burn some brush, might get the place looking a little bit better.
Well, Wade was just here. How about if Wade didn't make it in time to see you again? What would you say to him?
He got things to do.
Legacy-wise, what would you want Wade to know about how you feel?
Well, I wish he'd come and here, get a bunch of my tools and I don't know, wish he'd fit into my shirts that I got.
Any regrets in life?
What?
Do you have any regrets?
Well, I regret that we didn't travel more than we did, and we did a lot of traveling. But there are places that I would like to have gone to that I never. It was, you know, it's sort of on the bucket list, but never got off the bucket list. But we're certainly thankful for the traveling we did do, because we got to see, well, Boots saw every state in the Union. I saw all but one. And we saw a lot of countries in Europe. We've been deep into Mexico. We've been, where else have we been? We've covered a lot of turf. I mean, there's certainly people who've done a lot more traveling than we have, but we've traveled, for example, compared to Boots's, all her family, we've traveled way more than any of them, right? Your brothers and sisters they've barely left the state that they were raised in, and we've covered a lot of turf.
You're passing the Sandpoint property on to Wade and myself. If you were to picture 50 years from now, what would you hope that would look like or be like, or what would be the feeling that a person would have being there?
Well, my main concern is that the property would stay in the Stolee bloodline, as Grandpa Stolee wanted it, and being that he's the one that originally got the property and passed it on to me. I would want it to continue down the line. Not my job to figure out who in the family tree or whatever gets it, but as long as it is bloodline in the family tree, that satisfies me. And I certainly don't have anything like, well, they ought to build a cabin here, or they ought to build a dock there, or whatever. That doesn't leave much for them to be able to pick and choose to do. So we did our thing, and we had very unique docks with tomatoes growing all over them. And we've had some interesting burning sites, and we had I love the trails, even though they're not on our, very little of it is on our land. But I love the fact that they originate off of our land. And I would like, the trails kept up, but hey, that was my thing, and if it's not their thing or your thing, that's not for me to worry about. But I can tell you this much: there's going to be a lot of nice white Norway pines to start off the area.
Mm-hmm.
Whether there's trails to continue or not.
How tall do you think is the tallest Norway that you planted? Not when with your mother, but when you own the land. How tall do you think your tallest one is now?
The ones I planted over
Yeah.
I suppose, like 15 feet, 15, 20 feet, somewhere in there.
And anyway, so why did you plant those when they've only gotten to be 15 feet in your lifetime of being up there?
Well, it's not for my lifetime. It's for Tommy's grandkids. Yeah, the best way I could say is if you ever get a chance to go to McCarthy State Beach, north of Hibbing,
Mm-hmm.
and take a look at the forests there, which were all planted by the CCCs. Beautiful, high Norway pines, fabulous forest. Well, that's what I envisioned back there. There are patches just up behind Sandpoint Lodge and down at Ashenbrenner's and at Adams, little patches of beautiful Norway pine stands. But if it all works well, we're going to have a huge grove of Norway pines extending from the end of your property to the lagoon and to way back in all the directions. And those should also reseed starting not too many years from now. So the wind and the birds and the squirrels and so on are going to do their part in spreading Norway pines throughout that area. So hopefully I'll be able to look down and say, hey, that's the way I wanted it. But
How old was your dad when he died?
83.
83. Help Gray Shankar and Wade and myself and Mark understand what that felt like and what's it going to feel like.
You lost me on that one.
When you lost your father, what did that feel like?
Well, I guess the biggest thing is that I sort of felt like there was a lot of things that I wished I had asked him. And I couldn't really come up with the questions like I felt like I'd really missed. But I felt like there was a lot that he knew that I could have known if I had known the right questions.
Are you talking about like family history stuff or just general advice?
Everything. I had no idea what his politics were.
Okay.
I had no idea. Well, one of the things that just lately in our current church is I know he spent a lot of time on sermon preparation, but how he went about it, I have no idea really. I know his library had tons of books in it, but I don't know. I don't know how he even picked out whether the church said that this is what the sermon's going to be for, or whether he picked it out or what, just stuff like that. That he knew and I didn't know. And the same thing with Mom. There's a lot of things that I could have learned from her that I'm sure she had no reason to not have me learn, but it just didn't seem important to her, but it turns out that it was, so I guess there's some sort of a moral to that story.
Were there, well, with Grandma, I'm pretty sure her death was expected to be, she was 95, but was your dad's death expected, or was that a big surprise?
So it was a surprise. And he went the way we should all go.
Meaning?
He sat in a chair and he had a pain in his chest, and he told Grandma that he said he needed to go to the hospital. So knowing her, she went to get him a clean shirt, and she came back and he was dead. So that's probably the way to go.
Your relationship with your father, was that all, did you feel like you had worked out everything by the time he died, or did you think there was some?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think we had any form of problems between us.
No. He was a pretty strict man.
Oh yeah, and I don't, in retrospect, I don't regret that he was. I think he had the right system, the right balance of discipline and love, and yeah, I think he did the right thing, whether it always worked, it's debatable, but I think he did the right thing.
Did he say, "I love you, Jim," or did he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
A good example is when we did something wrong when we were little kids, we got our spanking, but prior to getting spanked, we were told why we were going to get spanked, what we'd done wrong. We got our spanking, and then we were told again why we got spanked. And then after probably half hour, he'd take a stop and buy us an ice cream cone.
Oh, he was a softie.
Well, he just wanted us to know that it wasn't a capital offense whatever we did, but we did something wrong, and he paid the price, and now let's get on with.
I think you told me that he was the soft one when it came to Dave's troubles at college.
Yeah, he was. Grandma was the hard nose.
I would have thought that had been the opposite.
She said, well, Grandpa was pretty much a screw up when he started college too.
Okay.
I had the advantage of having Dave go to college, before me, and flunking everything. And Dave did better in high school than I did. And so I questioned whether I should even be in college. It took me a while to find out that he flunked everything because he was out partying. It wasn't that he didn't have the brain power to do it, he just was having too much fun.
Well, you didn't raise me to express my love very vocally, but I'm going to say it now. I love you, Dad. And I'm sorry I haven't been able to express it before, but I mean it. And
I guess I've known that, but I enjoy hearing it too.
Yeah, good. I'm sure that same is true for, I can say for Gracia and Cara and Wade, no doubt. I'm not sure what's going on with Mark, but
I'm not either, but I'm hopeful of that he will realize exactly how I've always felt about him, and it's way better than he sees than he thinks it is. I can tell you that much.
Well, let's just suppose in the worst situation he never decided to reconcile and that never happened.
Hey.
What would you want him to know?
Well, I guess for starters, I think our problems came about something to do with illegal immigration, and I expressed some strong feelings on it, and he took. I'm sure he took it to mean anti-Hispanic thing. Well, anti-Hispanic. His wife is half Mexican. She put him through college and through law school, and she's the mother of two of my grandkids. And she's not only that, but she's gone back and gone to college herself after all this. I think she's a remarkable woman.
Mm-hmm.
And the only probation office guests that ever came up to Sandpoint were two Hispanics, Ben Sanchez and his girlfriend Sandy. We have been to Mexico many times. We've taken Spanish classes. If the as far as I'm concerned, if the United States wants to take in 500 million Mexicans a year, that's up to them. But do it legally. My objection is the illegal part. And Mark got all offended about it and says, if that's the way you feel, don't contact me. And so I've abided by that since that time, and I hope that if he sees this video that you're making, that he will stop and recall the whole conversation and see if he could think of anything in that conversation that was any different than what I'm saying. And I don't think he will. I have never said that one of the best employees, other than family, the best employee I ever had at Straw Hat Pizza was Chris Montoya, the Hispanic. I have absolutely nothing against Hispanics, Mexicans, but I do have things against lawbreakers, and it should be fixed. That's all I was saying at the time, and I still say it, and I haven't changed my opinion at all on that, just because somebody doesn't want to hear that opinion doesn't mean I'm going to change my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't discussed it in the several times we've seen each other since. Neither one of us have discussed the issue, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still sitting there as an issue.
Would you want him to see this?
What?
Would you want him to see this?
Yeah, I would like him to see it. I would like him to know that I'm proud of his accomplishments. I'm proud of his family. I think he's done a great job with his career, and I'm sorry that he, in however way, totally misunderstood what I was saying. But that's what he heard. He heard what he thinks he heard.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I would want every one of my kids and grandkids and great grandkids and to know that I love them all. And I'm very proud of my kids and what looks like it's coming up with the grandkids.
Well, getting back to this weekend, it's it's come up because we're afraid you may be dying in some time, whether it's 3 months or 24 months.
We're all gonna die sometime.
Are you afraid?
Am I afraid of dying?
Yes.
No, I'm a little bit afraid of the process of dying, yes. If I do, I was going to die like my dad. It would make it a lot better. But if I think I'm going to die in a nursing home gasping for breath for days or weeks, I'm not looking forward to anything like that. But who knows, you know.
Mm-hmm.